Yo, what is going on, UFC fans? It feels like it's been forever since we've had a pay-per-view. UFC 296 is this weekend. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I want to talk to you guys today about the Paddy Pimblett Tony Ferguson fight. I want to give you my predictions on this fight and why I think it's going to be a lot closer than people think. Let's get into it. Real quick, I want to go over the tail of the tape. Tony Ferguson, 25-9, last 5 fights, all losses. Paddy Pimblett, 20-3, last 5 fight, all wins. He is a huge favorite at minus 360. It says moderate favorite, but no one at minus 360 is a moderate favorite. There's an implied win probability of about 80% in those odds. And does Paddy Pimblett win this fight 8 out of 10 times? I don't necessarily think so. I know Tony Ferguson has been on quite the skid, guys, but I kind of want to go over his last few fights and let you know why I think he has a better chance of beating Paddy Pimblett than some people may think. Alright, so let's check out his last few fights. He has losses to Bobby Green, Nate Diaz, Michael Chandler, Beneil Dariush, Charles Oliveira, and Justin Gaethje. Man, that's a lot of losses. Actually, that is a shit ton of losses. But it's against high-tier competition, right? And in that Justin Gaethje fight, if it wasn't at the end of the round when Tony Ferguson blasted him with that uppercut, he would have finished Justin Gaethje and that fight would have been over, man. He would have beat Justin Gaethje by knockout. But he got kind of saved by the bell. We went on to round 2 and 3, and he just beat the living shit out of Tony Ferguson over the length of that fight. But it almost got stopped, guys. Then the Charles Oliveira fight, he got pretty much dominated on the ground that entire fight. Charles never really was in any trouble in that fight. That was a solid loss for Tony Ferguson. The same thing with Beneil Dariush. Beneil Dariush just kind of controlled Tony Ferguson on the ground. And I think that's Paddy Pimblett's best course of action in this fight. He doesn't want to get in like a punch-for-punch battle with Tony Ferguson, especially because Paddy holds his hands really, really low. So if you're going to get an in-the-pocket kind of swing fest with Tony Ferguson, you could get clipped and finished. So he needs to take Tony Ferguson down, hold him down, and work for submissions. That's how Paddy Pimblett wins this fight. That's the least pass of resistance to beating Tony Ferguson. And in the Michael Chandler fight, I think it was in the first round when he clipped Michael Chandler and almost knocked him out. And the same thing happened in the Bobby Green fight. He dropped Bobby Green too in the first round. So in this fight, Paddy Pimblett, especially early on in the fight, needs to take control of it. But if you look at some of Paddy Pimblett's fights in the UFC, he had a lot of trouble with Jared Gordon. Jared Gordon did a really good job counterpunching and waiting and being patient against Paddy Pimblett. He was waiting for him to throw and bang. I think it was a counter left hand he kept blasting him with all fight long. But Tony Ferguson doesn't fight that way. He's not really a counterpuncher. He's a march straight forward and I'm going to try to end you. And if Paddy Pimblett wants to get in a swing fest, he's going to get cracked with elbows and those crazy spinning punches and all that crazy shit Tony Ferguson does. So he needs to work his ground game in this fight. But another thing I want to talk to you guys about, that Jordan Levett fight. Jordan Levett had a lot of success pressing Paddy Pimblett against the cage in the first round. So I don't know if Paddy Pimblett is worth, definitely don't be laying minus 360 on this dude. There's no way 80% of the time Paddy Pimblett wins this fight. If Tony Ferguson uses his brain in this fight and works his clinch game with elbows, he could have a lot of success against Paddy Pimblett. But if he's going to just march straight forward, Paddy Pimblett does have a lot of power in his hands, but he does get clipped a lot too, man. He keeps his hands way too low. And Tony Ferguson has found the chin on a lot of guys, even though he's lost like the last 6 fights or whatever. He found Justin Gaethje's chin, Bobby Green, Michael Chandler. He landed hard shots on all those guys, and they're all pretty tough. They're not the easiest guys to knock out. I don't know how good Paddy Pimblett's chin is because he hasn't really fought big punchers in the UFC. Luigi was, he's got pretty good power, I'm not going to lie. But Jared Gordon is definitely not known for his power. But those counter left hands, he had a lot of success. So if Tony Ferguson watches the tape, I think he has the potential to win a decision in this fight. But he has to fight smart. I'm going with Tony Ferguson to win this fight by decision. It's only 3 rounds. And I think he's going to fight smart. I think he's going to work the clinch game and land some big elbows. I look for Tony Ferguson to land a couple big shots on Paddy Pimblett, press him up against the cage, and land some elbows. That's what I want Tony Ferguson to do. I hope he just doesn't march straight forward like Frankenstein and take big shots, because Paddy Pimblett does have knockout power, but I think Tony Ferguson is going to use his fight IQ and get a decision victory in this fight, 29-28. Let me know in the comments below, guys, who do you think is going to win this fight? You think it's going to be Paddy, or do you think Tony Ferguson is going to break that insane losing streak? For Paddy Pimblett, if he loses this fight, man, all the hype is gone. All the hype. And then if he beats Tony Ferguson, it's like, well, you beat a guy who's lost 57 million fights in a row. I don't know why Paddy took this fight. It seems like a lose-lose, but they are on a pay-per-view, so what the hell do I know? Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. We'll catch you on the next fight. Peace!